Welcome back to the Communication Mastery Podcast with me, Mark Burlinson. In this season in 2026, we're going to spend some time looking back and replaying some of the episodes that some of you have asked about in your comments. And in between those, I'm going to be back with little snippets each week of helpful information that you can put into practice in your business, in your life, to help you grow your communication mastery. This week, I want to focus in specifically on operations teams. This is the area that I've chosen to really zero in on in this season of my business because I see so much value in bringing communication mastery to those operations teams. We can save so much stress as well as so much cost by improving communication in an operations setting in the business world. Because if you're an operations team leader or you know an operations team leader, you'll be familiar with some of the pressures that they operate under. They're solving tensions between departments all the time. They're tackling misunderstandings again and again. They're navigating the whole challenge of having to rework things when things didn't work out the way they should have done, or they're trying to untangle handovers that went wrong. They're untangling conflicts within their teams, but they're also trying to keep projects moving across departments. So it's an unenviable task to be an operations team leader. It's a lot for them to be handling. But in all of those areas, communication is actually the hidden issue that's causing a lot of those problems, or feeding into a lot of those problems. And so what I help operations team leaders to understand, first of all, is that miscommunication is never a personality problem. It's not an issue of a person needs to be fired, or a new person needs to be hired. Very often, all miscommunication is a skills gap. It's something you can train so that you can reduce those misunderstandings. You can shift from reacting to conflicts to actually intentionally choosing how you communicate in each situation, so that those conflicts, those issues actually disappear, because you're learning how to relate to the different people. That's the challenge for ops team leaders, is that all of the people they're trying to work with, all of the different ones in the different departments, are all wired differently in the way they communicate. But once they begin to understand that, then it's just like knowing how to work on a car, by understanding all the different systems that are going on under the hood. Once you begin to understand what's going on in communication and how people are wired and how those different wirings are expressed in different ways, you can learn the skills to be able to fix almost any issue you encounter in your operations team. So if your operations team seems to be constantly ending up in cycles of escalation, where different ones are pushing harder for their voice to be heard, or for their view to be taken on board, or if team members are slipping into withdrawing, and they've just gone quiet and they're not contributing at all anymore, or maybe they're getting into gossip and you're seeing like sort of little mini factions growing up within the teams. All of those things can be deadly to productivity and profitability in any setting. If it seems like half your people are quiet quitting, they're showing up, but they're really not achieving at the level you'd like them to, they're not being fruitful, then I'd like you to see what a focus on communication for you, especially as the team leader, but also for your people, what that could do for you. Because most of the frustrations that I just identified are not they're not intentional. They're a consequence of misunderstanding. They're a consequence of miscommunication. Very few people end up think, well, you know what, I think I'll just give the bare minimum at work this week. They're doing that out of a frustration, or out of a lack of recognition, or out of a feeling of being ineffective. This isn't working, so why try? That kind of thing. When actually, by helping people learn communication skills and develop communication mastery, we can help to reduce that kind of dynamic within the operations team in a very fruitful, very powerful way. So my signature program that's rolling out right now, Communication Mastery for Operations Teams, is combining an analysis of how communication is working in your team currently, what's working and what's not, where are the pitfalls, where are the obstacles, what are the elephants in the room, if you like, together with an exploration of what kind of communication culture do you want. How would you like it to be that's different from how it is? And what can we look at to get you from where you are to where you want to be? And that approach of looking at the now, but also looking at the what could be, is very often the way into being able to resolve some of these issues. And so the beauty of what I've discovered with the tools that I use and the ways that we've applied that in different business settings over the last 10 or so years is that there's always going to be a better way than the way we're using now. And so often that's hard to see when you are in the thick of it. You need an outside eye and an outside voice to come alongside you, to be on your team, if you like, to want the success that you want, but to come at it with a way that can see things with a fresh viewpoint or with greater experience. And that's what I bring to the table. So if you'd like to have a conversation about where you're at with your team and what are the frustrations, what are the issues, maybe you can think of 2 or 3 situations in the last, say, 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 things that stand out to you of, I wish that was different. That was a communication issue or a misunderstanding or a frustration, and I want to change it. Let's talk about what are the roots of those things. What is it that's behind the surface symptoms, so that we can identify the communication styles that will be in play, but also the understanding that we can bring to you and to your team that will help you to change things for the future, to be more fruitful, more effective, more streamlined, more profitable, and with much less tension, much less crisis, much less conflict. That's the beauty of Communication Mastery. It oils the wheels of your business. And I'd love to help you to look at your setting. And that's why I'm offering a free call where we can discuss that. We'll look at that. What I'd like you to do, if this is of interest to you, is go to my website at markburlinson.com, and there's a video right there on the front page that describes this in more detail. That describes the situation you may be in, but also how I can help you and what we would do on that free call in order to give you some actionable steps right away that you can use in your setting. Completely free, no commitment required. For you to be able to look at what can I do next that's going to make a difference moving forward. So go to markburlinson.com and click play on that video, and then let me know what you think of that. And maybe you're listening to this and you're not an operations team leader. This is all foreign language to you. But something that I've mentioned within what I've said sounds like it could help in your setting too. And what you can do is, again, go to my website at markburlinson.com and download the free guide that's there. There's a free guide entitled The 3 Hidden Reasons Your Team Keep Misunderstanding Each Other and How to Fix It. If you click on that button on the website and download the free guide, you'll be able to read that through and see how what I can see with communication could help you with the challenges that you face. So I encourage you to do either or both of those things, because I know that Communication Mastery can make a big difference to your situation and your team. So let me know how that goes for you. Give me a message through the website of how I can help you going forward. Book a free call and let's talk about how Communication Mastery can really move your team forward. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back next week. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It would mean a lot to me if you'd rate and review the podcast so it helps more listeners to find us. But also, would you give me your feedback on things you'd like to hear about in future episodes? And remember to share the episode with a friend if you see something that would benefit them as well. You can reach me with feedback through my website at markburlinson.com. Just click on the contact button and send me a message. I respond to everyone personally, and I really want to hear from you. So thank you again for listening, sharing, reviewing, and giving me your feedback.